शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। दोर्भिर्युक्ता चतुर्भिस्फटिकमणिमयीम् अक्षमालां दधाना हस्तेनैकेन पद्मं सितमपि च शुकं पुस्तकं चापरेण भासा कुन्देन्दुशङ्ख स्फटिकमणिनिभा भासमाना समाना सा मे वाग्देवतेयं निवसतु वदने सर्वदा सुप्रसन्ना। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकेर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानादं को न याति परां गतिं कोष्पदीकृतवाराशिं वशकीकृतराक्षसं रामायणमहामाला रत्नं वन्दे नीलात्मजम्। यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम्। वैदेही सहितं सुरद्रुमतले हैमे महामण्टपे मध्ये पुष्पकमासने मणिमये वीरासने सुस्थितम्। अग्रे वाचयति प्रभञ्जनसुते तत्त्वं मुनिभ्यः परं व्याख्यान्तं भरतादिभिः परिवृतं रामं भजे श्यामलम्। नमोऽस्तु रामाय सलक्ष्मणाय देव्यै च तस्यै जनकात्मजायै नमोऽस्तु रुद्रेन्द्रयमानिलेभ्यो नमोऽस्तु चन्द्रार्कमरुद्गणेभ्यः। Okay, so if you remember last time we were talking about the death of Dasharatha. Dasharatha was on his deathbed. He was telling the story of Shravan Kumara, how the boy whom he killed by mistake, how he goes and offers water to the boy's blind parents. So that was Sarga 64. And how Dasharatha also get the curse that at the right time you will also be separated from your son. Your death will also result due to the same reason. So Dasharatha says, Chakshubhyam tvam na pashyami kausalye sadhu mam sprisha ityuktva sarudam strasyo bharyamaha cha bhumipaha. Dasharatha says that he tells Kaushalya, I cannot see you with my eyes, you touch me gently. And that is basically, he cries out to his wife. He doesn't know what he is doing. He cannot see properly. His sense organs don't work properly. Etanme sadrisham devi yanmaya raghave kritam sadrisham tattu tasyaiva yadanena kritam mayi. He says that whatever I have done to Rama, the same thing has come upon me, and whatever he has done, for that the entire world or even the future generations are going to remember him for his sacrifice. That is, the entire world is always going to curse me for years together. यदि मां संस्पृशेद् रामः सकृदद्य लभे तव यमक्षमनुप्राप्ता द्रक्ष्यन्ति न हि मानवाः. He asked us, before I die, will Rama come? Will Rama come and see me? Will Rama come and touch me? Because once I reach Yama's abode, I cannot witness my relations. Nate manushya devaste ye charu shubhakundalam mukham drakshyanti ramasya varshe panchadashe punaha. Then he says, people who stay till the 15th year, that is once Rama has returned back from Vanavasa, they are truly blessed. Ha Raghava Mahabaho, ha Mamaya Sashanashana, ha Pitrapriyamenata, ha Adhyakvasikatasuta. He calls out to Rama, he is wailing. He says, where have you gone? Please come back, and so on. Ha Kausalyena Shishyami, ha Sumitre Tapaswini, ha Nrishamse Mama Mitre, Kaikeyi Kulapamsani. He calls out to his wives also, and he tells them, O Kaushalya, O Sumitra, O cruel Kaikeyi, I am going to die now because of your actions. Now, greatness of Raghuvamsha. This last time I had read it, right? These 4 verses. Anyone remembers? No, I think it was almost 2 weeks back. Okay. So this I will also share on the group. I think I told you, maybe I forgot. So Hama Janma Shuddhanam Aphalodaya Karmanam Asamudra Kshitishanam Anakarata Vartmanam Yatha Vidihutagninam Yatha Kamarchitarthinam Yatha Parada Dandanam Yatha Kala Prabodhinim Yagaya Sambratarthanam Satyaya Mitavashinam Yashase Vijakishunam Prajaye Grihamedinam Shaishave Vyasta Vidyanam. Just 1 second. I had kept that ready to tell you. Just 1 second. त्यागाय संवृतार्थानां सत्याय मितभाषिणां यशसे विजगीषूणां प्रजायै गृहमेदिनां शैशवेभ्यस्तविद्यानां यौवने विषयैषिणां वार्धके मुनिवृत्तानां योगेनान्ते तनुत्यजां रघूनामन्वयं वक्ष्ये तनुवाग्विभवोऽपि सन् तद्गुणैः कर्णमागत्य चापलाय प्रचोदितः. So here if you see, so the meaning of these verses is, it seems that right from the time of birth, now here Soha Majanma, it seems that not even from the type of birth, the Raghu kings, right from the type of conception is right from the time they went inside the mother's womb till their death, it seems that they did not commit any sin. So that itself shows the glory of these kings. They did not do any adharma, any adharmic activity all through their lives. As per the Shastras, the Dharma has mentioned, they followed all the scriptures, they followed all the rules of Rajadharma. Further, if they started something, without completing that, they will never stop in between, or they will never give up in between. They will rightly complete things. Next is the borders of the kingdom. It seems that Asamudra Kshitishanam, the first line if you see, Asamudra, the land used to always be on all the 4 sides, that is, the borders of the kingdom was always water, was by oceans. This shows that they had so much of control. That is, there will be no neighboring land at all. They had bought all the land under their control. So ultimately, so that huge was a span of land which was there under the Raghu king's control. That's the reason the borders was only ocean, was only water. No landmass, no neighboring kingdom at all. So no worry of some other king attacking, because they had won over all kingdoms. Last is Anakarata Vartmanam. They could drive their chariots right up to Swargaloka, that is heaven, and they were able to defeat the Asuras and help the Devas in their war by showing their strength, valor, strength, and so on. So that's the reason why even Dasharatha also, that's how he gets his name, Dasharatha. His chariot, it could go in all the 10 directions. Not only Dasharatha, all the other kings of Raghukula also, they could ride their chariot so well, and they could ride up till heaven. They used to go and help the gods, as well as they used to fight against the demons. Second, Yatha Vidihutagnina. At the same time, they performed all their religious duties. That is, whatever duties are prescribed for the king. They were a stringent follower of Rajadharma. Treta Yuga is known for a lot of sacrifices. Lot of homas, yajnas, Ashwamedha sacrifice, and so on had to be done. They did everything for the harmony of the world, peace of the world, and so on. Secondly, Yatha Kamarchitarthinam. Whatever people asked, the subjects would never return back empty-handed. So even without people asking something, the kings used to give. You have a very important king in the Raghukula. His name was Raghu. Raghu king himself. The famous story of Raghu and Varatantu. Varatantu was a person, like a sage you can consider, and Raghu, he had gone on a Digvijay Yatra all over the world. He was roaming about, and whatever he had, everything he had donated. His treasury had become almost empty. So maybe for his, now always remember, when we say empty, that doesn't mean that now whenever we donate something also, how much we donate. Say for example, if you have 1,000 rupees, out of that entirely 1,000 we don't donate, right? Maybe 500, not even 500, maybe 200, 300 you give. Remaining we keep it for ourselves. And this is the right way of doing. Some people feel, no, whatever I have, everything I give. What about you if you have to go and beg for 4 people? Doesn't make any sense, right? If I've got thousand rupees, if I'm donating 1,000 in all, tomorrow I have to go and beg. I need something, I don't have anything with me. This is wrong. So therefore the Raghu kings, it seems that this Raghu, this king, during this time, he ended up, his entire treasury became empty. Of course, when we say treasury became empty, for their own sustenance they used to keep, because that was very much important, and maybe some emergency situation, maybe suddenly some subjects used to come and ask. So little part used to always be there, but apart from that, this Raghu king had donated everything. And it seems that at one point of time, people used to continuously keep coming and asking. Subjects were not there. So it seems that at one time, even his treasury, whatever little he had for himself and for emergency situations, that also got over. So now still a person comes and asks him, now you give me something I am in need, and so on. So now the Raghu king, Raghu, he is thinking, what should I do? After whom the Kula is named as Raghu Kula. Seems that he prays to the Lord, and then there is a Varsha. Looking at his good nature, that he did not think about himself also. In emergency situations, he gave out about everything. At that time, it seems that the goddess herself comes there, and goddess Mahalakshmi and the Lord of Wealth Kubera, they come and they shower gold coins. That is the significance of this king Raghu, and to help the king, because he was so generous, so good. And even that gold coins also, he did not keep a single, all the gold coins that fell in, he did not keep a single coin for himself. He gave everything in donation. So this shows the nature. This was not only of Raghu, but all the kings of Raghukula. But Raghu was such a great king, and that's the reason he got this. The Lord also came to help him when he had nothing. He himself came and showered gold coins. And because of this nature of Raghu only, the entire Kula is called Raghu Kula. Though the Lord himself, Rama, was born in this Kula, it is not Rama Kula, Raghava Kula, it is Raghu Kula because of this king. So this is just one example of one king who is there. Then further, Yatha Aparadha Dandanam. At the same time, Aparadha Danda, if someone does something evil, some ill, they used to be punished properly. So otherwise, then thieves, everything will increase, right? So if someone is doing wrong, they would get the right punishment. And that is, they were scholars in law. They knew niyamam. They knew what is right and what is wrong. They knew to investigate properly things when happen. That's the reason you see in olden times people used to change. Kings used to change their disguise, go about. Rama also did the same thing in Uttarakanda to find out what the subjects were talking about, what the subjects were thinking. And at that time he gets to know that they were talking ill about Sita being in the palace of Ravana and so on. This used to be done, and whoever does wrong, they used to punish them properly. Yatha Kala Prabodhini. Yatha Kala Prabodhini. Kala time. They used to do everything at the right time. Today something has to be done, today only I have to do it. Unlike all of us, we don't keep delaying it, we don't keep procrastinating. That is the meaning here. Second is, third verse. Tyagaya Sambritarthanam. So 8 qualities are done. This is the 9th quality. Tyagaya Sambritarthanam. Tyagaya meaning sacrifice, charity. Whatever they have, they used to give away everything in charity. They used to not use it for their own personal gain. Satyaya Mitabhashana. It seemed that they talked very less, only in limit. Why so? They used to be afraid, it seems, that now the thing happens with all of us. When we keep speaking more, at that time we are afraid that we might end up speaking lies. Because now that's the reason why if I tell you some lies or so, to cover up, we have to speak 10 more lies, right? Whereas if I speak the truth, maybe it might be a little difficult or hard, but then that's it. The topic gets closed there. I don't have to speak much. So that's the reason these kings also, they used to speak very limitedly, so that they used to always be free, and they used to be not be worried that I'll end up speaking lies also. Yashase Vijagishunam. It seems that whenever they wanted to show their, you can say, valor, strength, or so, their power, they will actually fight the war by following all the rules and so on, not by violence or so, not by doing ahimsa. And they bought other territory, like we saw in the previous verse, the borders of all the entire kingdom was ocean. That means so much of land they had bought under control. But it was not just without purpose. They did this because it was a part of Kshatriya Dharma. It's not that they wanted to do adharma or they wanted to show up violence and so on. It is not like that, because it is a part of Kshatriya Dharma to ensure that you bring more land under your control, to make your land free from enemies, and so on. So that's the reason they did this, and not because they were greedy for land. It is not like that. Because it was the rule of Kshatriya Dharma, that's the reason they used to annex the nearby kingdoms and bring that land also under their control. Prajayai grihamedhina. Seems that ultimately what they did is they led a life of a grihastha, not again to just enjoy the pleasures, but so that the kingdom, the generation could move about, more new kings could come, the Raghukula, the entire dynasty will keep on growing to beget children and again continue the dharmic line, and also to repay the Pitruranam. Pitruranam, this is very very important. Pitruranam, that is the reason why in olden times also people used to wait for a son, or even now also you see, right, why a son should be born, we always say. People even wait for sons to be born. In earlier times, it's now one very, people keep telling reasons, no, we need, in our old age also you need someone to take care and so on. Nowadays you see, when you have a son or daughter, ultimately the parents are staying alone only, so it doesn't make any difference. But then it seems that in those times, why a son was needed was mainly to give back the Pitrurunam that is there, that is mainly to do the karma. Because it seems now Putraha, the definition itself is Put. This is a Rinam that is there. The Rinam is nothing but a loan that we take from our Pitrus, from our ancestors. That is, now what is a loan exactly? Now when you are born to your parents, right? One person is born because of two parents, two people. Our parents are born because of four people, four grandparents from both the sides. They are born because of their parents, their parents, their parents. So from our ancestors, if today we have got the life, we should not owe it only to our parents or grandparents. It is for generations together. If our one generation had felt that no, we don't want to beget children, today we will not be alive at all, right? So therefore this is a Pitruranam that is there. We have to give back to our ancestors. This is one thing. Now, not only for birth purpose, there is one more reason, that is, now you see today most of us, what we do is we live very lavishly. Lavishly in the sense, we don't have to, nobody here will say no, I have to go to the field and do agriculture, or maybe I have to find out a way to fill my stomach and so on. But maybe 60, 70 years or so, now in most of your cases it might be your own parents also, or even grandparents, maybe they tell you that maybe they also did not go to the field and do agriculture, but still they had to put in a lot of efforts, right? Even if they had to have 2 times meals or so, or maybe they had to come from villages, they came down to cities and so on. So like this, they had to put in a lot of efforts. This we know of our own 1 or 2 previous generations. You just imagine the situation about 4 or 5 generations back, when the country was also not independent. You had a lot of foreign invasions coming in, how people used to live and so on. We can just sit and imagine. Today for us, everything is nice, but still we have our own set of problems. But at least comfortably we can live. You have a roof over your head. You don't have to worry about things like whether today I'm there, tomorrow will I die and so on, right? But there were situations like this. But in spite of all that, our ancestors paved such a way that today we live in a very safe condition also, right? So therefore we have to give back, that is Pitruranam. So this Pitruranam has to be completed. And when can you give back this Pitruranam? Only when you do the karma that is there, Shraddha karma, every year it has to be done. So how even the word Putraha, Putri comes. Put is the kind of Ranam, and how you give back is when you do the Shraddha karma to your father. So Put, Ranam, one who does that, that's how Putraha. And if Putraha is not there, Putri. Putri has to do this. Always remember this. So that has to be, that also is told here. So therefore, the kings of Raghukula followed this tradition. Prajayai grihamedhina. Wherein they say that they led a life of a grihastha, they begetted children, and so that they can repay the Pitruranam back to their ancestors by doing the karma that is there. So that's the reason how many kings were born in the Raghukula. Further, they also increase their dynasty. Further, Shaishave Vyasta Vidyana. So about 12 qualities are already done. Shaishave Vyasta Vidyana. Shaishave during childhood, that is in their young days. Shishuhu, Shaishavam is childhood. Vyasta Vidyana, they led a life of a brahmachari, that is they gained a lot of knowledge. Yauvane Vishaya Ishana, during youth, or you can say young days, was about the end of student life and the beginning of grihastha married life and so on. This discharging one's duties, settling down in life, because you might have a family of your own also, so therefore you have to settle down a bit, maybe find a way to fill your stomach, your family's stomach and so on, and at the same time discharge one duties, both worldly and divine. That is the true young life which we have to do. Is you must do your duties. That's the reason why we do a lot of earning, we take care of our families, we eat good food, we take care of our bodies and so on, and also enjoy the rightful pleasures of life. Raghukula, the kings of Raghukula also enjoyed the pleasures of life which were needed. Now, when we say pleasures of life in Yauvanam, that is during young life, you must always enjoy. Now, what it means to enjoy? Enjoy doesn't mean again just while away time here and there, but then maybe we buy a house or so, we buy a car, you buy things, and then you experience. Yeah, that is, you lead a good, comfortable life. Even the kings also did the same thing. When they bought so many kingdoms under control also, they enjoyed a very royal life at that time. So that doesn't mean that they gave up on their duties also. At the same time, it doesn't mean that they did not enjoy life also. So enjoying is also very, very important. Now when we say enjoy, that means whatever we have to use that. So this is something some people feel that they're so miserly. No, I'll keep on collecting. Like in spite of you have something, things are broken, still they will not do it. Right? Or in today's times, I'll give you an example. Sometimes you see most of our houses, they turn to be very old, right? So maybe after, you can say at least between 4-5 years or so, what we do is we don't break the house fully, but then at least some plastering, painting, something we do. Some people, you see, so many people, you go to their houses, nothing will be done. The house, something will be falling from up. Still, they'll be just leading a life like that. It's not that they cannot do. Now, if genuinely you have a problem, you cannot afford something, it is fine. Or maybe clothes also, very old clothes or ragged clothes. In fact, such clothes should never be worn. Goddess Mahalakshmi never comes there, especially in the case of women also. Women, in fact, should never ever wear old clothes at all. Men also does the same thing, but women more, it is said, because women are considered to be a form of Goddess Mahalakshmi herself. So if you wear old clothes, and maybe that's the reason why women end up doing a lot of shopping and dressing up themselves, because they think that you wear the clothes once or twice, it turns out to be old. That you need not go on the overside of things, but then why things are being told you should never wear old clothes, ragged clothes, torn clothes and so on. So these are all things wherein at the right time we must know what to enjoy and experience, otherwise it is of no use. So the Raghukula kings, they did even that. Further, Vardhake Munivrittanam, Vardhake, that is during old age, they spend their time with sages and so on. They acquired a lot of jnana, knowledge, and ultimately yogana ante tanutyajam. After practicing yoga, sannyasa ashrama, they left the world and they merged with the Supreme. So this was the greatness of the kings that has been told. रघूनामन्वयं वक्षे तनुवाग् विभवोऽपि सन् तद्गणैः कर्णमागत्य चापलाय प्रचोदितः. These are the qualities of the Raghukula kings that have been told. So roughly about 16 qualities are there. Further, so this could everyone understand? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So basically why I told you about these qualities in detail was the Raghu kings were known for these qualities, and that is the reason these 4 verses are very, very famous. I will also share that in an article also, so you can read it and refer. In many other places also, this reference very popularly comes to show about the kings of Raghukula. From Dashratha's death, a few things which we have to learn.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes.
I wanted to say something about this.
Yeah.
Raghukula. Can I say?
Yes. Tell.
Actually, Raghuraja was a very Tamushu for that. And there was a story about that one Kautsa in Python.
Yes, Kautsa.
He was doing Vedabhyas from that Bharatantu. And after finishing learning his 14 Vidyas, he wanted to give some Guru Dakshina to the Guru.
Correct. He did not have anything. That's the reason he comes and asks Raghu. Correct. Right. So this, why I remember this Kautsa. So as he rightly said, Varatantu and Raghu. That is the story. So Varatantu is the sage and Kautsa was his disciple. This Kautsa disciple, he does not have any guru, he does not have anything to offer Guru Dakshina. So Varatantu gets very angry that if you don't give me Guru Dakshina, how it is? Like, how can you say this? At that time, Kautsa goes back to the king of Raghu, to the king Raghu, and he asks that I want to give so. At that time, Raghu did not have anything, so he pays to the Lord, and ultimately gold coins come in. He gives he gives Kautsa. Kautsa goes back to his guru and gives Dakshina. So that is how it happens. Why I remembered this story is about 3-4 years back or so, there was a drama or so. At that time, I had enacted the character of Kautsa. So wherein I had also like how Kautsa had did to Varatantu. Varatantu was another person. She had done the character of Varatantu. So at that time, Guru Dakshinam Datta, Guru Dakshinam Yacha. I was also saying this same dialogue. So I could remember the story of Raghu, Kautsa and Varatantu. Very, very important story in the significance of Raghukula. Further, continuing Dasharatha's death. Some learning points from Dasharatha's death. So basically the last line, firstly the great fall, that is because of his own deeds ultimately. So you see, just imagine here, one thing what we get to learn is, apart from whatever points are mentioned here, in the case of Dasharatha, if you see, he was such a powerful king, but then so much of land under his control, so much of respect, about 3 queens, more than 350 other queens, 3 chief queens. Ultimately he was not blessed with children, right? He did sacrifice everything, Ashwamedh sacrifice, Putrakameshti sacrifice. Finally, he was blessed with 4 divine children. The Lord himself came and took birth. He was happy. But again, when he decided things were going good, again, but life had to fall. And when he died, ultimately he did not have anything. So for this, the learning that we have is, how much ever, now even great people like Dasharatha also, in spite of having everything also, when death comes in, we can never wait, or when sorrow has to come, life changes completely, whether it's a poor man or a great king like Dasharatha. So in the case of all of us also, whatever we have, whenever, whatever little we have, we must enjoy it truly. Then further it's towards the emotions, likes and dislikes. That is, in the case of Kaikeyi, if you see, suddenly how her mind changed. She started liking all the pleasures. She wanted Bharata to be the king, and she started hating Rama over one night. Just imagine the plight here again. One whom for her Rama was more dear even than Bharata. Nobody could even imagine that Kaikeyi will do like this. But over a night, her mind entirely changed. So how someone can influence us? Even when Kaikeyi can be influenced, we have to be very, very careful in this matter. How much ever strong we are, we never know how life comes and changes. Because if someone continuously keeps telling, that too it is just the matter of one night. Always remember this. So imagine the power of Manthara that is there, how strongly she would have influenced Kaikeyi, that Kaikeyi ended up doing this. And to die also, we need the grace of the Lord. Unlike Dasharatha, if you see, a very sorrow, sad death, right? Whereas some people also, it is like maybe old age and they die very peacefully suddenly. So that is, for that also you need the grace of the Lord. Further, I think this all we had already seen, right? Mukundamala, art of dying. Diviva bhuviva mamastuva saha. Krishna, that is always thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. When we think of the lotus feet of the Lord, for that also we need the grace of the Lord. How that will come is all through your life. So it is basically a very simple logic. Whatever you do all through your life, the same thoughts come towards the end of your life. Very simple example, you compare it to one day. Whatever you think about the whole day, the same thoughts come even during night. Even in our dreams also sometimes the same thing comes. So at that time people ask, right, were you thinking about this the whole day? We say, yes. So the same thing is applicable even here. Then the Gita also, Kavim Puranam Manushasitaram. All this we have already seen. So now let's start with Sarga 65. Now nobody realizes that Dasharatha is dead now. All the dasis, the maids who were there, they finally tell. And it seems that all the attendants, now in those times the kings used to be woken up by playing musical drums, musical instruments, drums and so on. So all the attendants, everyone, they reach in the morning to wake up Dasharatha. Unfortunately, Dasharatha does not move. The maids, they notice that they are dead. The queens are also fast asleep and all the ladies are shocked. So he dies in his sleep only. Te cha drashtva tatha supte shubhe devyau cha tam nrapam suptamevodgata pranam antah puram adrishyata. So the two queens, Kaushalya and Sumitra, were fast asleep, And the woman thought that the king died in his sleep. Drapeshanta gune jate kausalya patitam bhuvi apashyam sta striya sarva hatam nagavadhumiva. So hearing the news, Kaushalya faints and falls down to the ground. Dasharatha's body lies still. Further, Dasharatha's body is preserved. तैलद्रौण्यामथामात्या संवेश जगति पतिं राज्ञः सर्वाण्यथा दृष्टाश्चक्रुः कर्माण्यनन्तरम्. Before this, I think I had already told you, Kaushalya, she faints and falls on the ground. Sumitra also gets the news. And there at that time, what she does is immediately, I don't think it is there in the Valmiki Ramayana, but you have it in some folklores also. Sumitra immediately goes to Kaikeyi's chambers. She takes a lot of jewelry, gold, this, that, all the riches with her. And Kaikeyi is there in her own chamber. She is waiting for Bharata to come. She is waiting for him to become the king. At that time, what Sumitra does is, she tells now all the jewels, pearls, sari, clothes, everything. She takes everything, and in plates also, she tells Kaikeyi, take all this, I bought this for you. Kaikeyi is shocked. Kaikeyi says, why are you bringing all this for me? Suddenly what happened? And what she does is, Sumitra in her rage, she ends up throwing the plates full of jewels, saris and so on the face of Kaikeyi, it seems. At that time, Manthara, Kaikeyi, both they get very angry. Kaikeyi starts shouting at Sumitra, what are you doing this? Why are you throwing all this at me? At that time, Sumitra tells that you wanted all the riches, you wanted all the gold, sari, clothes, this, that, everything. Keep all this for yourself. From this moment onwards, you cannot even wear all this because the king is no more. Thinking this, she wails loudly and she comes out of Kaikeyi's chamber. So this is how Kaikeyi gets the news. Then Kaikeyi she also falls down on the ground and so on. Such things do happen, but then Sumitra in her fit of rage, she does this. So this was how Kaikeyi got the message of Dasharatha passing away. So maybe from that minute onwards, what happened was, because she had become a widow. Now in those times, people used to follow that strictly. She had lost all the riches also. She could never wear those ornaments. She could never wear all those rich clothes and so on. They used to always wear that white sari. So that's the reason why Sumitra goes there, and ultimately she throws everything on the face of Kaikeyi, saying that take everything. Now you wear all this. There is no use. Why you wanted all this? All of us, all three of us, cannot even wear and experience all these riches from this day. So this happens before. You can consider after Dasharatha died. Then finally, now it was going to take a lot of time. Now Dasharatha's death also, you see, none of the children are around him. Bharata, Shatrugna are in Kaikeyi Desha, Rama, Lakshmana were there in the forest. Even to send a message, it will take some time for Bharata and Shatrugna to return back. Rama and Lakshmana, where they are, nobody knows. So, sorry. So therefore, to preserve, just as nowadays we keep in ice also, similarly it used to be kept in a oil tub, saying that the funeral rites, everything will be done later. Natu sankalanam rajño vina putreణ mantriणः sarvajñā kartumīṣuste tato rakshanti bhumipam. Now the councillors and all the other ministers also, they were all asked whether you will do the last rites of the kings and so on. They said no. The king is having 4 sons, so we will not do that. Let the son only come and do the karma. So meanwhile, we will all look at the king. Then,
excuse me, what is the meaning of that Bhumipam? Is it referring to Dasharatha?
Yes, Bhumipam. Bhumipam is for a king. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Importance of having a king. Now, person has died, the karma has to be done, that is one part. But the kingdom, the land has lost the king. So first we need a king now. That is very, very important. So therefore Vasishtha, he calls upon and tells what will happen if there is no king. Just as minister, like say for example, for a particular place, if a minister also is not there, immediately the procedure starts of appointing some other minister, right? Or just as even in our own house, if you see a person also, if he dies, before we even complete things, maybe the person is dead also, you finish doing the karma rituals and so on, first we see the property, the house will go to whom, right? Or whether the names are written, whether all the papers are proper and so on. So this is something which is very, very important from the legal point of view. So the same thing Vasishtha also here tells, he says a king, some new king has to be kept at once. Narajake janapade धनवन्तः सुरक्षिताः शेरते विवृतद्वारा कृषिगो रक्षजीविनः. He says that in a country where there is no king, people cannot sleep safely in their homes with doors wide open. So in those times in Ayodhya, there was no concept of lock at all, lock and key. Doors used to always be open because there were no thieves. Na rajake janapane yogakshemam pravartate na chapya rajake sena kshatrun vishahate yudhi. The king in a country without a king, no security of possessions, army cannot withstand the battle, and so on. So basically, the country will lose everything altogether. So now some way has to be found out. यथा दृष्टिशरीरस्य नित्यमेव प्रवर्तते तथा नरेन्द्रो राष्ट्रस्य प्रभवः सत्यधर्मयोः. So king is the one who protects truth, he protects the morality, welfare, everything. So king is the guiding light. So we need a king. Raja satyam cha dharmascha, Raja kulavatam kulam, Raja mata pita chaiva, Raja hitakaro nrana. The king is the one who protects truth, righteousness, dharma, and he is like the father and mother of the praja, and he ensures that all the people are safe. So this is the importance of the king, which Vasishtha tells in Sarga 67. Finally, they decide that immediately let us call back Bharata. पुरोहितस्त्वां कुशलं प्राह सर्वे च मन्त्रिणः त्वरमाणश्च निर्याहि कृत्तमात्ययिकं त्वया. So Vasishtha writes a message to Bharata saying that the family priest, all the counselors wish you welfare. You must return back in haste. An urgent thing has to be done by you. So he doesn't convey the message directly, because now whenever the same thing happens, right, whenever some bad news also is there, we don't tell people immediately. We just tell there is some emergency, you please come back, right? Because a person has to come home. To whomever you are conveying the message, that person has to come home properly, right? So that is the reason why we must convey things also rightly, otherwise it might lead to problems. So therefore this has to be done, otherwise people will you can hear me, right? Did I lose connection? Okay, sorry. So basically that's the reason why Vasishtha also tells the same thing. He tells that you just go and convey. Now there are some more side stories to this, I'll tell you. Bharata, it seems that at that time Bharata, Shatrughna, Mandavi and Shrutakirti, that is Bharata and Shatrughna and both their wives, they were living there, and at that time it so happened that both the queens who were there, Bharata gets a dream about during this time all such things were happening when the king passed away, that he sees a very bad dream, and suddenly just thoughts come to his mind that all is not well in Ayodhya and so on, I want to go back. Such things come, and he tells the same thing to Shatrughna also. So he tells us first thing to his wife Mandavi, because both of them were sleeping together at night. So he tells her, and at that time she tells that it is just a dream, you go back to sleep now, and both of them they go back to sleep. Next day again he conveys this to Shatrughna. Shatrughna at that time says, if you really feel so, then no problem, let us go back, I don't have any issue. So then Bharata says okay, and then with that the topic gets closed. But when this dream had come, immediately later from Vasishtha the message had already reached. So the point why I am telling you this is, Bharata already had got an indication. So he was a great Dharmatma, so that's the reason he got this idea. He had already seen a dream in which he felt that he should return back to Ayodhya, all is not good there. So माचास्मै प्रोषितं रामं माचास्मै पितरं व्रतं भवन्तः शंसिषुर्गत्वा राघवाणामिमं क्षयम्. Vasishtha says, he tells the messengers, all of you go there, but don't tell anything to Bharata. You just tell that on emergency you have to come. Don't tell anything about the demise of his father or Rama having gone to the forest, nothing. You just go and tell him that there is an urgent thing to be done by you. You please return back soon. Now the same thing that I told you, Bharata is disturbed on account of a dream. This is a dream that I told you. All other, now here it is mentioned friends, mainly it happens with Mandavi, Shatrughna and a few known ones who are there. Now it was Kekai Desham where he had spent even a lot of days in his childhood. So just as all of us also in our holidays also we go to our grandparents' place and so on. Similarly Bharata also, all his childhood he had lived in his uncle's place, that is in his grandfather's place. So that is the reason why he tells this that and all his friends also try to console him, and he tells the details of the dream that he saw. It was the same thing, that he has to return back to Ayodhya. Finally, the messages reach there, and he receives the gifts also. So as a mark of respect, lot of gifts were also being sent. And Bharata, then the message is being read, and finally they accept everything. They ask their maternal uncle Yudhajit, his name was Yudhajit, grandfather was Ashwapati. They ask their permission, and finally they make preparations to return back to Ayodhya. After a 7-day journey, Bharata comes back. So it takes about 7 days from Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh to Kekaya Desha in Afghanistan. Then where all Bharata passed through, that entire detailed description is given in Sarga 71, verse number 1 to 70. If you want, you can read it for yourself. Whereon he passed through, what on land he passed. So again, this shows that Ramayana cannot be a myth. If it was a myth, in so much numerical value, it took about 7 days. What all area, which part of land, what landscape, landmass he covered, that would not have been mentioned in detail. So all these are different proofs to show that Ramayana really happened, and it is itihasam, history. And then when they were about to enter Ayodhya, the situation looked very weird. It seems that when Bharata entered, people started closing their doors, it seems, because they started developing hatred towards Bharata because his mother had done that. So in fact, when they saw Bharata Shatrughna returning, and they were sitting on their chariot, at that time people started closing their doors and they went inside their houses. They started turning their faces and going away. So this was the situation there. So Bharata keeps on asking a lot of questions to the charioteer. What is all this? Why is the situation so bad? Ayodhya, everything seems to be sad. The charioteer does not answer anything because Vasishta had told. Ultimately, Bharata reaches the palace. He goes and meets Ayodhya. And who asks, firstly, Kaikeyi is very happy Bharata has come. She inquires about her family, her brother, her father, and so on. And finally, Kaikeyi. Now, first of all, Bharata is shocked to meet Kaikeyi because she had worn that white dress that is there. And then ultimately, she breaks the news of Dasharatha's death. Bharata is shattered. He doesn't know what to do. Then immediately he wants to go and meet Rama. And he wants to go and listen to, because why he wants to go and meet Rama is he wanted to know what were the last words of their father. He doesn't know that Rama is also not there. Kaikeyi tells the entire story and asks Bharata. Now the main worry for Kaikeyi is you take the clutches of the kingdom in your hands and you start ruling it. That is the only objective that is left now. So she tells the entire story, tells Bharata, you start ruling over this kingdom. यो मे भ्राता पिता बन्धुः यस्य दासोऽस्मि धीमतः तस्य मां शीघ्रमाख्याहि रामस्य क्लिष्टकर्मणः. He says, I am the slave of my brother, father and friend, and go and immediately announce. He tells all the servants that immediately you go and announce my arrival to Dasharatha, Rama, that is, and my friends. So he goes and tells us, Pita hi bhavate jeshto dharma maryasya janatah tasya padav grahishyami sahidanim gatir mama. So now that my father is no more, my elder brother is like my father, and he indeed is going to be my guiding force and so on. He is dharma, he knows what is right and so on. I shall go and fall at his feet. All this Bharata tells. सिद्धार्थास्ते नरारामम् आगतं सह सीतया लक्ष्मणं च महाबाहुं द्रक्ष्यन्ति पुनरागतम्. And he sees that she now very cleverly she tries to put in one verse. She tells those men who see Rama returning back with Rama and Lakshmana, they will have all their desires fulfilled. Now why does Kaikeyi make this statement is just to tell that after 14 years when Rama, Sita, Lakshmana come, everyone will have all their desires fulfilled, everyone will receive the best of blessings. Till then you become the king and you rule. Maya tu putra shrutvaiva ramasya visheshanam yachitaste pita rajam ramasya cha vivasanam. When I heard of Rama's coronation being taken, I asked your father to give the kingdom to you and banish Rama. Tvaya vidanim dharmagnya rajatvam avalambyataam tvatkrite hi maya sarvam idamevam vidham kritam. Immediately you take the kingdom in your hands, and for your sake only I have done all this. Ma shokam ma cha santapam dhairyamashaya putraka twadadhina hinagari rajam chaitadanamayam. She now, Kaikeyi is trying to console Bharata, saying that give up sorrow, don't feel bad about anything, take the kingdom, take the control of the city in your hands, which is now free. There are no obstacles at all. Dasharatha is no more, Rama has gone to the forest, Lakshmana has also gone there, Shatrughna anyway is always listening to you, so no problem, everything is under your control. Please take up the kingdom and start ruling. Further, Bharata is shocked to listen all this. He says, nothing, whatever you are saying is going to be done. I am going to go and bring back Rama now. दुःखे मे दुःखमकरोः व्रणेक्षारमिवाददाः राजानं प्रेतभावस्तं कृत्वा रामं च तापसम्. Bharata tells, because of you, the death of our father has taken place. Rama has been sent to the forest. You have just given me sorrow and sorrow. Just as on a wound, if you apply salt, how it burns more, similarly, you are also doing the same thing. मृत्युमापादितो पिता त्वया मे पापदर्शिनी सुखं परिहृतं मोहात् कुलेऽस्मिन् कुलपांसनी. From this verse onwards, if you see, O woman of sinful thoughts, when this comes, Kulapamsini, this minute onwards, Bharata stops calling Kaikeyi as his mother. He breaks ties with his mother. Later, after Rama returns back from Vanavasa, at that time he tells Bharata, you go and meet your mother and so on. Till then, for the span of 14 years, Bharata does not even speak to Kaikeyi and does not consider her as her mother. He only calls her as the queen, Rajamata, that's it. And he tells you about the death of my father and so on. The entire family has lost its happiness. अथवा मे भवेत् शक्तिः योगैर्बुद्धिबलेन वा सकामां न करिष्यामि त्वामहं पुत्रगर्धिनी. He tells, I am not going to allow your desire to be fulfilled. What you wanted is the four experiences, nothing but horses, camels, chariots, horses, elephants, soldiers, and so on. Camels also, infantry, cavalry, everything you wanted under your control for your king. So he says, I'm not going to allow all this. I'm not going to accept anything also. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and bring back Rama. नहि मन्ये नृशंसे त्वं राजधर्ममवेक्षसे गतिं वा न विजानासि राजवृत्तस्य शाश्वतम्. So here further Bharata continues. He tells that you don't have respect for any of the royal tradition, nor you know people who are going to follow this, what are the effects of what you have done in future, what will be the consequences. You have not thought about anything. You just wanted your own selfish desire to be fulfilled. Satatam rajavrittehi jeshto rajye vishichate rajnyam etat samam tatsya ikshvakunam visheshataha. He says, as per law, only the elder son should be crowned in the king. This is true of all kings. It is not only limited to Raghukula or for Ayodhya, but still, in fact, in Ikshvaku race, traditionally this is only followed. But you have broken everything today and spoiled. Bharata talks harshly to Kaikeyi and he curses Kaikeyi. त्वत्कृते मे पिता वृत्तो रामश्चारण्यमाश्रितः अयशा जीवलोके च त्वयाहं प्रतिपादितः. He says, you have caused my father's death, Rama's exile, and because of you, I have also got a very bad name. Now, people, in fact, when I was coming, he narrates all this. He tells that people in Ayodhya, they shunned their doors, they did not even look at me, they turned their faces away, they closed their doors and so on. Matra rupe mama mitre nishndrashamse rajya kamuke nateham avibhashyosmi durvritte patighatini. He says, you're an enemy, though in the form of my mother, and you're the one who has murdered my husband and so on, and I'm never going to speak to you from this state. Yat pradhanasi tat papam mayi pitra vina krite bhratrabhyam cha parityakte sarvalokasya cha priye. And because of you, the entire world is going to hate me, and I've lost my father also, I'm abandoned by my brothers, So because of you, you maybe had some good objective for me, but ultimately that has only resulted in my loss. कौसल्यां धर्मसंयुक्तां वियुक्तां पापनिश्चये कृत्वा कं प्राप्स्यसे त्वद्य लोकं निरयगामिनी. He says, "O woman, you will go to hell. You have separated Kaushalya from her son." And he says, even after death also, which world you will go, it is not known. That is, hell is also not fit for you. This is a statement here that Bharata makes. So it is very, like Kaikeyi had to listen to all these harsh words which a son tells his own mother because of the character of the mother, which is so evil. सा त्वमग्निं प्रविशवा स्वयं वा दण्डकान्विष रज्जुं वधानवा कण्ठे न हि तेऽन्यत्परायणम्. He tells you jump into the fire or you go to the Dandaka forest, you hang yourself, do anything, but there is no other option that is left for you for committing such deeds. Then further, they go and meet Manthara. They go and meet Kaushalya, and at that time they say Manthara also. Bharata from inside is deeply pained. He says, how will I go and even face Kaushalya and Sumitra? What will I even go and tell them? Right? So, but then ultimately there was no other option. They had to go and speak to her. इत्यादि बहुभिर्वाक्यैः क्रूरैः सम्भर्त्सितो नगः विव्यते भरतस्तीव्रं व्रणेतुद्येव सूचिना. Like a needle was pricking, Bharata was deeply pained. आर्ये कस्मादजानन्तं गर्हसे मामकिल्बिषं विपुलां च मम प्रीतिं स्थिरां जानासि राघवे. Further he says that he little cools down and he says, why do you do this? You knew from before, you knew that I have a lot of affection towards Rama, and anyways, even if you do all this, I am not going to accept the kingdom. In spite of knowing all this, how come you did this? So Kaikeyi already knew all this, but because of the influence of Manthara. Now here again, always we cannot just blame Manthara. That is, even though a person tries to influence us, doesn't mean that we end up listening to them. So that is also equal to we ourselves doing the crime, right? But still, Manthara's influence has played a very important part here. Bharata curses, पुत्रैदारैष्टमृत्यैष्ट स्वगृहे परिवारितः स एको मृष्टमश्नातु यस्यार्योनुमते गतः. One who did all this, they will also. Now the curse that he gives is that person is, even though you have all your family members around, the curse when you yourself eat without offering anything to anyone, the curse that you will incur or the sin that you will incur because of that, the same sin this person also who caused the exile of my brother and the death of my father will incur. Aprapya sadrishandaran anapatyav pramiyataam anavapya kriyam dharmyam yasyaryonumathe gataha. The one who did this will die without a worthy wife and no offspring, nothing. So maybe a very barren life. Finally, Bharata performs the last rites of his father. Now here, this is a very beautiful chart. What Kaikeyi thought. She will get Bharata's respect because she bought the kingdom for him. Bharata will rule the kingdom. He will be very happy and proud of her. But Dharma is so strong. So this shows the strength of Dharma. When you are always on the Dharma margam, you have done things rightly. At that time, what happens is, when you go on, Dharma changes into Adharma. What happened is, Dasharatha died. Everyone starts disrespecting Kaikeyi. Bharata flatly insults her, refuses to rule, and he is very happy, very unhappy, treats her with so much of, you can say, now we saw how he spoke to her, and ultimately he even disregarded her. So when we go on the path of Adharma, though we think about something, what actually ends up happening, this is the best example. Further, what we learn from Kaikeyi's episode is what is not Dharma. So if you see, through this mainly what is being shown is, now to do something, we must also know what should not be done, right? So that's the reason we have the concept of do's and don'ts. You buy something, you have do's and don'ts. This should be done, this should not be done. So therefore, knowing what is wrong also is equally important, and that learning we get from such negative incidents that are there, like for example in the Ramayana, Kaikeyi's episode, or even later you have the episode of Sita's abduction. So from that we know that, okay, because ultimately it led to the loss of Ravana. led to his own destruction. So okay, we know this should not be done. So though it might be disturbing, though it might be evil, but through such incidents we get to know what not should be done in life. That is, now all such things they will not sustain for long. Kaikai, you see, immediately, maybe maximum within a span of 1 month or so, everything got destroyed. In the case of Ravana, in about 10 months, he lost his own life. So, further, it leads to a lot of internal conflicts between mother and son only, and then it leads to a very large problem that happened. Now, why a large problem? Bharata did not even stay, forget about accepting the kingdom, he did not even stay in the kingdom. He lost his own wife, also had to be disowned. So she also had to suffer. Many other people had to suffer because of one small, not a small problem, but because of Kaikai's initial proposal that Dasharatha should die, Bharata should rule over the kingdom. Because of that, ultimately Bharata did not even stay in the kingdom. He lived like an ascetic outside in the outskirts of Ayodhya. Then she lost the common understanding that is there. She did not think about the future consequences. She thought about the benefit of only a few people, about herself, about Bharata, not about everyone. Then it was her ego. That is, if Rama is made the king, Kaushalya also will start ruling over her. Her son will be treated less. So ego, ahankara played a role here, and she lost her wisdom at that time. That's the reason she behaved like this. Now from Manusmriti you have, when we go, now basically all these slides they talk about adharma, that is when we don't follow dharma, you go on the right path, you go on the wrong path, what happens? For that from Manusmriti you have a reference. Na dharmascharito loke sadhyah phalati gauriva shanaira vartamanastu karturmulani krimtati. Now, the results of cruelty, it seems that they are not immediate. Unlike the benefits when you get, that is, now say for example, here an example is given of a cow. Now, cow, you milk a cow, immediately you will get the milk, right? Whereas the results of cruelty, if you see, it takes a lot of time. Like for example, in the case of Kaikai and Bharata, this incident, if you take, it's Kaikai thought about all this, Manthara told her in one day, her mind changed. It took a few days for Dasharatha also to die. Then 7 more days for Bharata to return. Then a few more days wherein Bharata told everything, and then finally he gave up. So the results are not immediate, but ultimately whenever the result will take place, it is always going to lead to your own loss. So through this what is shown is, maybe for a very temporary period of time we might feel that we are very happy and everything is happening as per the wish of mind, like it happened in the case of Kaikai. She felt very happy. Things happened as she willed. Rama left the forest immediately. Bharata was returning back. But she did not anticipate the death of Dasharatha, though she knew that Dasharatha cannot live without Rama. She knew that to some extent, but still she was not fully confident. So initially everything happened as per her will. So that doesn't mean that always adharma wins over, or even evil people, whatever they wish for, it happens. The final decision will always lead to wrong only, destruction only. धर्म एव हतो हन्ति धर्मो रक्षति रक्षितः तस्मात् धर्मो न हन्तव्यो मानो धर्मो हतो वधीत्. If you violate dharma, it is going to be destroyed. It has to be preserved. Therefore, it should not be violated. Because if you do this, dharma will only come and destroy you. Like Bharata here is dharma purusha. In the form of dharma, he comes and destroys. Kaikai is the form of adharma. Shishupala very very beautiful story written by Magha. Anyone has read Shishupala? I hope everyone knows who Shishupala, right?
Yes.
No, we know who is Shishupala, but not read.
Shishupala Vadha. You must learn this. You must learn this in the sense, Shishupala Vadha, Chedi Raja, all of this we know, and Krishna's cousin Shishupala. But Shishupala, when very beautiful story of Shishupala as per the Mahabharata, if you see, it is it was said that he was born
this
with.
Is that, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
This is the text from Bharatam. You're telling us that if he makes 100 mistakes, if he spared after
Correct.
the 100 mistakes, it's the Darshana Chakra of Krishna.
Correct. It is the same thing, but and then he was born with many hands and an extra head or so on. It was said that on whoever's lap this child will be kept, and if those extra hands and head go away, then eye goes away, then that person will be the killer of the Shishupala. Ultimately, Shishupala the child laid on Krishna's lap, and that's how his extra eyes and hands went away. And from that minute onwards, Shishupala developed enmity. But it so happened that, but then Shishupala was actually Krishna's aunt's child, so therefore they were actually cousins. And Krishna used to always tell Shishupala that I'm not going to kill you like this, but 100 mistakes you do continuously, then my Sudarshan Chakra will come. So he used to actually, whatever mistakes also he used to do, he used to keep a count, it seems. And after 99, he used to stop, he used to take a pause, because the reason, the condition was you have to do it continuously. And then again he used to start. But then ultimately one fine day he committed a mistake also in the kingdom of Kauravas, wherein he did not realize what he was doing, and at that time immediately the Sudarshana Chakra comes and cuts off Shishupala. But Shishupala also, it seems that he got moksha, because though he was an enemy of Krishna, always he was thinking only about Krishna. That was because he was always afraid that Krishna will come and kill me. So though he was an enemy, he had evil thoughts, but still ultimately he was always thinking about the Lord only. So Shishupala Vadam is wrote is based on the original story of Shishupala as per the Mahabharata. Still Magha, a great Sanskrit poet, he gives a very beautiful interpretation. So if you get a chance, you must read Shishupala Vadam. That is महतस्तरसा विल्लङ्घ्यन् निजदोषेण कुधिर्विनश्यति कुरुतेन खलु स्वयेच्छया शलभानिन्दनमिद्धदीदितिः. So when an evil person tries to trouble a good man, it is an evil person who is at loss. The fire, it is not going to, for a fire when it is moving about, a very beautiful example here. Fire will not see whom I can bring under my control, right? It will not move about here and there. I want to bring insects, I want to burn down moths and so on. It is just staying there only. It will be at its own place. But if a moth feels that no, I will come and try to conquer this fire, I'll try to maybe douse it off, it is not going to happen. Ultimately, it will only fall in that and die. So the same thing happens when evil people feel that we can win over good people or people on the dharma part. It never happens that way. Initially, they might feel so. But ultimately, just as the moth comes and falls in the fire, they will also come and fall down in the trap and ultimately lose everything. Vidureshyadapayamatmana paratashraddadate tava buddhaha na paropahitam na chaswatah pramimitenubhava dhrutelpadhihi. Now in the case of wise people, what happens is, he can anticipate, he can at least think about the problems which will come in his way, or if he if he himself cannot make out, at least he will listen to others who guide him. But in the case of an idiot or a person or a fool, first of all, he himself doesn't know what he is doing. Secondly, he will not listen to people who are around him. But in such a situation, what happens is, he will come to know only when he experiences things, and that is, he is almost unprepared, right? Let anything come, I will fight anything. Some people, they are so proud, right? So it doesn't happen. Ultimately, it leads to his own loss only. From Hitopadesha stories, I hope everyone would have read. Now this Mitra Labhaha, that means the talk about friendship. So stories revolving around friendship. Mitra Labhaha is also one category in the Panchatantra stories, just for your information. Panchatantra stories usually revolves around stories of animals and birds with some moral. So Panchatantra, five Panchatantra. So basically a collection of 5 different types of stories. So there are actually by Vishnu Sharma's Panchatantra. So though we read Panchatantra stories, we consider them to be children's stories. In Sanskrit, it's a great treatise. Panchatantra, written by Vishnu Sharma, talks about 5 different categories. Out of that, in that also one is Mitra Labhaha, stories revolving around friendship. So here, Lobhena buddhischalati, Lobho janayati trisham, Trisharto dukkhamapnoti, Paratreha chamanavaha. Whenever we have greed, at that time we lose our wisdom, lose buddhi. It leads to various kinds of desires. Desires might lead to sorrow, because now desires are not wrong, but over desires, like in the case of Kaikeyi, desires which ultimately are never going to work, it is just going to lead to sorrows. Therefore, we have to be very careful in even having desires. Okay. Further, what happens? Sarga 77. Bharata does all the rituals of Dasharatha. त्रीणि द्वन्द्वानि भूतेषु प्रवृत्तान्यविशेषतः तेषु च परिहार्येषु नैवं भवितुमर्हसि. So basically, if you see, when Bharata and Shatrughna return back, it is almost the 10th day, 13th day rituals which are to be done, because almost 7 days the person was kept, Dasharatha was kept under oil. So they do all the things, Asti Visarjanam, then the 13-day rituals, everything was being done. And finally, Bharata and Shatrughna are lamenting, they are crying over their father's death. At that time, Vasishtha, Sumantra, all other ministers, they try to counsel them. They say that hunger, thirst, pain, pleasure, happiness, birth, death, this is all common to all living beings. So therefore, don't just accept it as a part of life and move about. So basically, they try to counsel him. सुमन्त्रश्चापि शत्रुघ्नम् उत्थाप्याभ्यप्रसाद्य च श्रावयामास तत्त्वज्ञः सर्वभूतभवाभवम्. Sumantra, it seems that Shatrughna had fallen down almost, that is, he had fainted and fallen. Sumantra helps him to rise. He consoles him, tells him about the truth. He says birth and death is common. A person is born, he has to die, and so on. Like this, he keeps consoling Shatrughna. Further, Shatrughna gets to know about Manthara having been the person behind all this, and he goes to attack Manthara. At that time, Bharata stops her, saying that a woman should not be attacked. Even though she is evil also, our elder brother Rama will not like this, therefore you leave her. हन्यामहमिमां पापां कैकेयीं दुष्टचारिणीं यदि मां धार्मिको रामो नायुसेन्मातृघातकम्. So here Bharata tells the same thing. If I do something to Manthara, Rama will accuse me of killing a mother, because he considered all women to be his mother. Otherwise, so here first what he tells is not about Manthara, it tells about Kaikeyi. So Bharata says that Rama will accuse me, say, of killing my own mother, so that's the reason I'm not killing even the wicked Kaikeyi. So therefore, Bharata, he further tells Shatrughna that if he have killed this इमामपि हतां कुब्जां यदि जानाति राघवः त्वां च मां च हि धर्मात्मा न विभाषिष्यते ध्रुवम्. If he kill this hunchback lady Manthara, then Rama will never talk to both of us. So that is almost death to us. So instead of that, let us spare her. Bharata refuses. Now everyone is telling we need the king. Now on the 14th day, that is after the 13-day rituals are done, immediately on the next day, Vasishtha, all the councils, they tell Bharata that you have to rule over now the kingdom. Already for the last 2 weeks, the kingdom is without a king, so now we need you. Bharata tells, no, at any cost, I want to bring back Rama. I am not going to be coronated at all. And the entire council of ministers, everyone praises Bharata. Because now why this happens is, because till this minute, people are thinking that Bharata also, like Kaikeyi, has a desire for his kingdom, and people have already developed evil thoughts for Bharata. That is the reason when he came also, people turned their faces away, they shut their doors, because they felt that this is a plot of both Kaikeyi and Bharata together. But when Bharata spoke such words that I am going to bring back Rama and I will coronate him, I am not going to accept this kingdom, all the people are very happy listening to Bharata. युज्यता महती सेना चतुरंग महाबला आनयिष्याम्यहं ज्येष्ठं भ्रातरं राघवं वनात्. He says, I'll use my chaturanga bala, horses, soldiers, camels, foot soldiers, chariot, elephants, and then I will bring back Rama from the forest. Nasakamam karishyami swami mam matragandhini vane vatsamyaham durge ramo raja bhavishyati. He says, I will never fulfill the desires of that woman called my mother. You see, Matragandhini is one who is called my mother. That is why he doesn't say directly my mother, because he has already said that I don't accept you as my mother before. Therefore, the statements are being used. So we have to interpret things in the right way of that woman who is called my mother. And I shall dwell in that forest, and Rama only shall become the king. So he starts making arrangements to go to the forest. Sarga 80. 81, Varada orders everyone. Vasishtha orders all the people to come there. Bharata also enters, and that is basically they have a discussion how to go to the forest, what all should be done, what are the next steps to be taken, and so on. Vasishtha again tells Bharata, you please accept the kingdom. Bharata refuses that, saying that I am not going to do this. everyone prepared to leave for Bharata, for the forest. Jeshtashtashta dharmatma Dilipanahushopamaha Labdamarhati Kakutsto Rajyam Dasharatho Yatha. Bharata says that eldest Rama, who is equal to Dilipa and Nahusha, the ancestors of Rama, he only deserves to inherit this kingdom just as Dasharatha did. I am not the fit person. Anaryajushtamamaswargyam kurya papamaham yadi ikshvakuna maham loke bhaveyam kulapam sanaha. If I commit this evil act of accepting the kingdom, and I will never go to heaven, and I will only bring disgrace and disrespect to this entire Ikshvaku race. Bharata finally leaves to the forest. Now, who all accompanied Bharata? That entire description is given in Sarga 83. All of them reached the banks of the Ganga, and Bharata, he in Ganga also, like most of us, we do the last rites, he also does the same rites for his father. Mothers and citizens also follow. Shatam sahasranyashvanam samarudhani raghavam anvayur bharatam yantam satyasandham jitendriyam. 100,000 horses. That is almost 1 lakh horses, each by a rider, followed Bharata, and they were all always Satya, by truth. Now they were all also possessing of truth, and Bharata also, he had given up his passion, desires for the kingdom and everything. He was a follower of Satya, truth. He followed, he was walking in front, and all these almost 1 lakh riders sitting on a horse, they followed Bharata. Kaikeyi cha Sumitra cha Kausalya cha Yashaswini Ramanayana Samrashta Yayuryanena Bhaswata. Slowly Kaikeyi starts realizing her mistake. She also follows everyone to the forest. Now, Vairagya Shatakam. From Vairagya Shatakam you have some teachings. Vairagya Shatakam. Who has written Vairagya Shatakam? Vairagya Shatakam. Who has written? I have told you, right, before also. No. Niti Shatakam, who has written?
That is the Bhartrhari.
Same person has written Vairagya Shatakam. Bhartrhari, great Sanskrit poet. Niti Shatakam, Shringara Shatakam, Vairagya Shatakam. 3 Shatakams written by Bhartrhari. You must know this, make a note of it. Bhartrhari, a great Sanskrit poet. Niti Shatakam, Shringara Shatakam, Vairagya Shatakam. 3 Shatakams, Shataka 100, so 300 verses he dedicates. This verse is from Vairagya Shatakam. The order also Niti. Niti is what? Ethics or rules which are to be followed in 100 verses. Next is Shringara Shatakam. Shringaram is nothing but beauty. So things related to our normal life also, like first is Niti, these are all the rules which are told. Second is beauty or beautiful things around us, or a grihasta's life, or maybe romance, the love, and so on, such affection, such things are mentioned there. And Vairagya Shatakam is slowly detachment. Now everything has been done, you have followed the different rules in the society, you have enjoyed life also with lot of pleasures, happiness, love, affection. Next is Vairagya, slowly start detaching yourself. Bhogas Tunga Taranga. You want to say something, Nalini ji?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, for my understanding, the 2 weeks Bharata forms the last rites for his birth for Dasharatha. He finishes. Then they go to meet Rama. Again at the banks of Ganga, does he perform something, ma'am, or just
Yes,
proceeds?
again he does that. And just as all of us also, when we go to Kashi also, we do the rites, right? Irrespective of being the Shraddha Karma also, that is the same thing. So it is very auspicious to do it. That's the reason he does it again. Yes.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
So this is from Vairagya Shatakam. All this, all of you must note down. It is our own literature that is there. So note down this.
Does it have English translation?
Another?
These books.
Yes, you have Vairagya Shatakam, Shringara Shatakam. Easily you will get Bhartrharis. I think you should have even PDFs also. Easily you will get. Just search on Google. I think it should be available. Bhoga Sungataranga.
Sorry, Lakshmi. Can you spell that name? That
Bhartrhari. Bhartrhari. BHARTRUHARI. Bhartrhari.
thank you.
Yes. भोगास्तुङ्गतरङ्गभङ्गतरलाः प्राणाक्षणध्वंसिनः स्तोकान्येव दिनानि यौवनसुख स्फूर्तिः प्रिया सुस्थिता तत्संसारमसारमेव निखिलं बुद्ध्वा बुधा बोधका लोकानुग्रहपेशलेन मनसा यत्नः समाधीयता. In olden times, in fact, not even olden times, recent times, people will even by heart all these shatakams. Not everything, but then even now also those who study Sanskrit, I remember in my own college days also, we had a few shlokas from Niti Shatakam and Vairagya Shatakam, not much of Shringara Shatakam, and in this oral exams that are there, we had to by heart these shlokas and not the meanings, just the shlokas. So people used to memorize. In the earlier Gurukula times, all the 300 shlokas they used to memorize. So basically, why they used to memorize this Shatakam and why Bhartruhari? Bhartruhari has written many more texts also, but why these three Shatakams are very much well known is they do not try to glorify any one god, or they are not a religious text also. It is something which all of us experience. It's a part of life, part of human life. That is, initially the first part is when you are living in a society, you should know some ethics, that is niti, some rules. Second is Shringara, that is a life which all of us we enjoy, maybe a householder's life, maybe you have so many things to experience, all the pleasure, pain, everything you experience, that is Shringara. Secondly, the third stage of life is Vairagya. Slowly now you have followed all the rules, you have stayed in the society, followed the ethics, you have enjoyed life. Ultimately Vairagya is something wherein slowly you start with detachment. Now you know almost all duties are done. Now what is ultimate truth, that only we have to understand. Ravi Shankarji.
Yeah, first time it is rather Sarayu based.
Yes,
then
Sarayu.
Ganga.
Correct. Yes. Sarayu, he does that, and so basically if you see in the rivers Ganga and Yamuna, especially in the Ganga, when you do, that's the reason why we go to Kashi and so on and do the karma, right? Whenever you go to Ganga river, you have to do the karma. So that's the reason why you go to places like Gaya, Kashi, Rameshwaram and so on, irrespective of whether it is the first year or the 13-day rituals or even the yearly Shraddha that comes. We don't see all that. Especially now you have the Pitrupaksha Kala starting after Ganesh Chaturthi. I think 29th or 30th September is a Pitrupaksha Kala for about one Paksham, those 15 days. At that time many people go, and in fact you see North Indians especially doing this, or they'll offer pindam everywhere. Pindam is rice with those black seeds. I don't know, even in fact in the Pitrupaksha Kalam, do all of you also do the karma at your houses?
Yeah, we do. Yes, if you want the city, we do.
Yes.
Offer to Brahmins and Pandit comes and does it.
Correct. So just as we do the yearly Shraddha Karma, you must do you call it the Pitta Paksha or the Malaya Paksha. This ritual is done in few of our houses. Some people don't have the ritual of doing it. They do it only during the yearly Shraddha, but then it should be done. If you don't have the ritual, you can start it. Some people will very nicely say, no, in my family there is no tradition. It's nothing. It is just that during the Pitru Paksha, it is. Now some people always associate it saying that it is not a very good time. In fact, it is not so. The Pitrus come down, or some people feel the Atma, soul goes about here and there and so on, very difficult, people should not go out. In fact, it is not, we should not fall into that. Pitrus are actually good people. Our own ancestors, they come down on earth, and whatever you offer them, very easily they accept that and go about. They will bless and go their future generations. That's the reason why the Pitru Paksha, Malaya Paksha Shraddha has to be done. It has got a lot of importance. It is to be done on the same tithi. So you have 15 days, one Paksha, right? So whenever our ancestor, your own father, mother, grandparents, whoever it is, they have died on the same tithi, or if on the same tithi is not possible, any day also the Malaya Paksha can be done. You can just ask your own family priests, and I think this is something which when you do the yearly Shraddha, this also should be done. And some people say, no, it is not there in my family also. It is not there in your family, you can start that. It is nothing for which you need some Diksha, initiation or so. You can start it by yourself, very, very auspicious. Okay, so coming back. So in the Vairagya Shatakam, what he says is enjoyments, that is under the course of enjoyment or attachment, Kaikeyi lost her mind, and that's the reason why she feels that I want everything, my son should become the king. It is just like in young days, we are a lot of passionate, I want this, I want that, or you can say the first love that takes place, ultimately it doesn't last long, right, for everyone. Then we realize a lot from our own mistakes. So like this, different examples are given here, wherein we feel that we waste a lot of time in doing things which are of no use initially, and then we feel I'm going to attain a lot of happiness and enjoyments out of this, but it leads to our own loss. So for that, what happens is wise teachers or wise gurus are very much needed so that they can put and guide your energies in the right way. But did Kaikai miss this? Definitely she missed all of this. She did not realize this. She thought about her own happiness. One more verse. व्याघ्रीव तिष्ठति जरा परित्तर्जयन्ति रोगाश्च शत्रव इव प्रहरन्ति देहम् आयुः परस्रवति भिन्नघटादिवाम्भो लोकस्तथाप्यहितमाचरतीति चित्रम्. Different diseases affect the body, old age affects the body, life also flows about, is running, like when you have a tap also that is leaking, how water keeps flowing continuously, like that life is also running away. So in this, still, lokastataphitama charati iti chitram. In spite of all this, how people find the time to do wicked deeds, Bhadrahari asks. Life is so beautiful, why not enjoy it and use it to the best? But first of all, there are so many things which we cannot avoid, like old age or maybe disease and so on. And out of this, there are many other things which are there. Maybe you are caught in all that, hardly you have some time to use it for good deeds, but we don't do that. Instead of that, we are busy doing wicked deeds, maybe fighting with people or arguing over things that make no value at all. From Mahabharatam, Udyoga Parva, you have something. Na jatu kaman na bhayan na lobhat dharmam jahan jeevit tasyapi hetoh nityo dharma sukha dukhe tvaninye jeevo nityo heturasya tvanityaha. At any cost, one must not give up on dharma just for the simple cause of fulfilling one's desires. Dharma is eternal. Happiness and sorrow, they are temporary. Today I am happy, tomorrow I am going to be sad. Or now I am happy, maybe the next minute I might be sad, again in the evening I might be happy. So it is just up and down that is happening. But we must know that everything is temporary, and even our life also is temporary only. After a point of time, all of us also we might die. So therefore, whatever little time you have in hand, use that to the best. Viduraniti. Viduraniti, also you must always learn the Viduraniti and read the Viduraniti at least once in a lifetime. It is among the Pancharatnani of Sri Mahabharata. Dashadarmam na jananti dhritarashtra nibodatan mattaf pramattaf unmattaha shrantaf kruddho bubukshitaha त्वरमाणश्च लुब्धश्च भीतः कामी च ते दश तस्मादेतेषु सर्वेषु न प्रसज्जेद पंडितः. Viduraniti is what Vidura advises his elder brother Dhritarashtra. He says, following 10 kind of people will not know what is right from wrong. What are they? One who is having a lot of pride, one who is mad, one who is intoxicated, very tired, angry, hungry, or one who is in a hurry, greedy, frightened, and lascivious. So basically, if you see all these qualities that are there, they are a person. Now it happens with all of us also, right? So basically, one who is full of desires and so on. So at this time, when all these 10 qualities that we have, that time we don't know what we do. So especially now, this we can totally relate when we are angry or when we are in a hurry, right? You don't know what you're speaking. Something you go and then you run away, and then later we realize, oh, I told something I don't remember. Or maybe we tell, no, in that anger I told, or I was in a hurry, that's the reason I told. And being greedy, frightened, and lascivious, I think it can be desirous of something. So when we have these 10 qualities, a person doesn't know what he is doing. He will not be able to tell what is right and what is wrong. So therefore, a wise man has to always stay clear of all this. Vidura tells this to Dhritarashtra. Soma Prabhacharya is a person who has written different subhashitas that are there. So basically, or suktis. So it's a book.
Lakshmi, in retrospect, I thought in both in the case of Mahabharata and Ramayana. In Ramayana, Kaikeyi, being a very noble white fashion lady, was mostly advised by her maid.
Yeah.
Similarly, in the case of Mahabharata, Dhritarashtra was very noble, but even though Viduran gave him correct advice, both of them had only longing for their children. Like the case of Kaikeyi for Bharata and the case of Dhritarashtra for Duryodhana.
Correct.
In the case of Dhritarashtra, even though Viduran gave him correct advice, still he behaved negatively or opposite.
Correct.
In the case of Kaikeyi, of course, she was given a wrong advice and she gave.
Yes.
So in both the cases, story involved only because of these two people I mean, intention only for the child, only for the son, and that is how the whole story was. In retrospect, both have got similarity in as far as advice is concerned.
Yes, right. So in the case of Dhritarashtra, if you see, though he was blind physically, he was blind with ignorance also, because, and that too in his case, he knew. So basically, Dhritarashtra and Vidura, if you see, Vidura is an intelligent person, but Dhritarashtra, it was not that he was evil, but then he was just blinded. He just wanted his son. Whereas in the case of Kaikeyi, she herself, she was influenced by Manthara, no doubt. She turned out to be evil. But in the case of Dhritarashtra, he was like, you can consider a fool almost. He just wanted his son Duryodhana, and many times it happens that he knew that what he was doing was wrong. He knew that the Pandavas were right and what his son Duryodhana was doing was actually injustice. But still, he just did not want to give up on his son. In fact, Dhritarashtra was such a person. He had the might of 100 elephants. But what use? No use of that. That's the reason he wanted to crush out Bhima, right? In one instance in the Mahabharata, it comes. He wants to crush out Bhima because Bhima was the one who was physically very strong, and Dhritarashtra had a fear that this Bhima will cause a lot of trouble. So Krishna knew about this, and all the 5 brothers, they go one by one to get the blessings of their uncle Dhritarashtra. So after Yudhishthira goes, the second elder brother is Bhima. Krishna stops him. Dhritarashtra cannot see, he is blind. Dhritarashtra stops, he tells Bhima, don't go. Nearby there was a statue of Bhima that was created. And instead of Bhima, that statue was being bought. Immediately, just as Dhritarashtra touches the statue gets broken into pieces. And Dhritarashtra was also shocked to see what happened. That was because Dhritarashtra's intention was to crush Bhima, that is there. He had the might of 100 elephants in his body. And Krishna knew very well, and that's the reason why this shows that why the grace of the Lord should be there on us. Pandavas, even though they are very righteous, they are very good, they are mighty people, still such tricks, or you can say such intentions, will be known by the Lord only. This is very much applicable to our lives also. We might feel that we are very good, we are very righteous and so on. But the turning point that happens, or sometimes when things happen, later we say that good, I did not do this. That is like the guiding path that we receive from God. Only thing is, Pandavas were blessed to see Krishna in front of their eyes. We are not that blessed to have the Lord amongst us, but at least He keeps guiding us from wherever He is. So therefore, these are all instances wherein even though people are good, even though people are righteous, still we need the grace of the Lord that is there. This is very much applicable. So again, talking about dharma here, yaprapya dushprapamidam naratvam dharmam chayatnena karoti moodaha klesha prabandena salubdam ubdao chintamanim patayati pramadat. A person who does not follow dharma is a fool even after getting human form. Why is this human form given? You're just going to eat, sleep, repeat and work to fill your stomach. You need not be born as a human being. You can be born as some animal. Animals are also doing the same thing. So therefore, some human life is given to you, it is to be used for some other purpose. And if you don't do this, it is like throwing away a rare gem, Chintamani, back into the sea. So it is like that if you don't use your human birth properly. It is sheer mere madness. So let us all use this human birth in a good way by not moving on the right path. By not moving on the wrong path, by doing adharma, always moving on the right path, dharma. Next, Ayodhya Kandam. Sarga 84, Guha meets Bharata and the approaching army. And Guha here also has some doubt. When he sees Bharata, he says, I am not sure what his intentions are. Maybe he has come to attack Rama or so. So he is also a little prepared. He makes his own army also a bit prepared. Then Sumantra, he informs Guha of Bharata's arrival. Then Guha realizes that Bharata has not got any evil intention. In fact, he has come to bring back Rama. Then he requests him, you stay here only. He tells here Bharata, here Rama lived, here Lakshmana lived, Sita was there. Bharata gets very emotional and so on. So today time is up. We will stop here. Next time we'll see what happens further, how Bharata goes and meets Rama.